What's up, comic book fans, and welcome to Comics Icons. Now, JJ, what they call me, and today we got part 5 of the Sabretooth War with issue 45 of Wolverine. And this series has been absolute fire so far. And by the end of this video, Victor Creed just might get that Logan team up that he's been wanting so bad. With these last 2 issues building up to and converging in this issue from 2 different perspectives. So if you guys need to get caught up with how we got to this moment, then I'll leave a card at the top of the screen and a link at the end of this video to the Sabretooth War playlist. But if you guys are ready to find out what happens in the next chapter of this brutal and classic Wolverine and Sabretooth War, then you know what time it is. Let's get it. So we start this issue with Victor Creed, and he's carrying the head of Quentin Quire, aka Kid Omega, throughout the island of Krakoa to search for the secrets buried there. And even though the Stark Sentinels surround the island, Creed used an Orchis ship with cloaking to fly right past them. But on the island, Creed remembers back to being trapped in a pit underneath it, when Kid Omega then taunts him for this memory, which kinda shocks Creed, because he didn't think that Kid Omega's head could still hear his thoughts. But Kid Omega lets him know that even in this current state, he's still one of the most powerful psychics there is. Then they arrive at a hill and Kid Omega starts to go to work. And he uses his telepathy to reveal a hidden doorway in the hill, which they end up walking through. Meanwhile, back on Station 5, Camo Tooth and Sabretooth are still plotting to go retrieve the son of Victor Creed, Graydon Creed. And Camo is worried that Victor might find them out, but Sabretooth assures him that Victor is away on the island for now, so they have some time to themselves. But she needs Camo to go through the multi-dimensional portal because Graydon has already fought with Sabretooth, so he'd instantly recognize her easily. Meaning Camo needs to put on a different face, so he decides to go with Mystique, to which Savage quickly lets him know that that's not gonna be a good idea. Even though on Camo's world, Mystique raised Graydon, albeit as a sleeper cell terrorist that blew up the White House. But Camo suits up and enters the portal. Then we transition over to the Exiles team. And if you remember in issue 43, they had made the decision to come after Victor Creed as well. So while Victor is treasure hunting, he's got everybody converging in on him. But on the Exile ship, we see them frantically on the hunt for Sabretooth. So much so that they've even brought the young mutants with them that they had been training, since the kids would have been even more afraid if they were left alone, thinking that nobody would come back for them. But as we've previously seen, Sabretooth would have no problem slaughtering these kids, so they'd be best to keep them out of the mix. Meanwhile, Oya is pissed, and all she could think about is making Sabretooth pay for what he did to her friend Quentin. But these guys quickly find out that they won't be able to get into Krakoa as easily as Victor did, as their sentient ship stops short of Krakoa after noticing the Sentinels flying above it. And when the Sentinels detect the Exile ship and begins to head in their direction, the ship notifies the team that they've got no shot at winning this fight. Then we transition back to Victor Creed and Kid Omega's head, and they're now in Forge's lab. When out of nowhere, they're attacked by a giant Krakoan sentry. Of course, Forge would have defenses set up in his lab, and Victor wasn't able to hear it or smell it. But Victor is able to make light work of this sentry despite not being warned by Quentin, which kinda pisses Victor off, so he makes sure to give Quentin a nice little shock as retribution. But Victor is also mad that this isn't a working lab, unlike the vision that Quentin had showed him. But Quentin tells him that there is a lab here. They're just on top of it. The lab is under Krakoa, but it has substantial defenses, so Victor's gonna need his team for this one. So Victor decides to radio the troops for backup, but when we transition back to Orchis Station 5, we can see the troops not responding because Sabretooth is waiting for Camo Tooth to arrive back with Graydon Creed. And as Sabretooth checks on the status of Camo Tooth, we can see that Laura Kinney's jaw looks like it's finally healed from getting ripped off the last time we saw her. But Sabretooth also notices when she looks at the map that one of the Sentinels flying around Krakoa has ventured off and is on the move. And to where You guys will see in a minute. But then Camo Tooth finally returns as he comes back flying through the portal holding somebody. He's got him. He's got Graydon Creed. At least he thinks he's got Graydon Creed, as apparently something is wrong with his face. But we don't yet get to see him. And we then transition back to the Exiles, who are now being pursued by a Stark Sentinel. That's what Sabretooth had noticed when she had looked at the map. But Necra comes up with a plan. Since these Stark Sentinels were stationed around Krakoa, that means their mission is to guard Krakoa, Necra thinks. So she's hoping that they're on some type of a leash that only allows them to go so far from the island before being summoned back. So they fly the ship straight up into space with the Sentinel following them until it reaches the end of its leash, when it realizes that it's left a hole in the Krakoan perimeter. Then we see Logan, who's now also converging on this same place, the island of Krakoa. Because if you remember at the end of issue 44, Kid Omega had called out for him. But Logan also realizes that this place is heavily guarded by Sentinels. Then he notices that there's one bit of the island that's missing a Sentinel, which we know that this is the Sentinel that left to go chase the Exiles into space. So Logan targets that section of the island to land. But he then realizes that he acted way too soon as more Sentinels detect his arrival and begin to blast at him, blowing up his jet while we get a pretty awesome shot of Logan leaping out of the downed ship. And then as he outruns the blasting Sentinels that are coming after him, he makes it into the doorway of the hill to Forge's lab that Victor and Quentin had went into just as the doorway crumbles behind him from the Sentinel fire. Then we switch back to Victor, who's now pissed that his crew isn't answering to his call. But he doesn't have time to wait or dwell on that. He's got to get down to that base. So as he digs through the rubble, he finds a hatch that must have been what the sentry was guarding, and he assumes that this is how he's going to get down there. But Quentin detects more sentries down there that Sabretooth won't be able to handle on his own. And that's when Victor's nose comes in handy, as he gets a hint of those metal bones coming his way. He smells Logan, and he knows that the run is here now. And Quentin reminds him that Wolverine is out for Victor's blood. He's about to go full-on berserker mode. But this just causes a devilish grin by Victor, who's got a nice idea about what to do next. Then we see Wolverine, who's now followed the scent of Sabretooth and is closing in quickly as he comes to the sentry that Victor destroyed. And then he's immediately hit with a psychic wave from Kid Omega. And now as he ponders what the hell that was, he's called ahead by a voice telling him to come on. And then we see both he and Victor now suited up like they were in their Weapons Plus days, with Victor holding the head of Quentin Quire, who's controlling this false reality. As Victor then tells Logan, "About time you caught up. We're on a mission and there's no time to waste." Yeah, Logan responds. "I'm here, ain't I? Just can't get my head on straight. Like I was somewhere else. What's the plan?" "Break in, smash, and grab," replies Victor. And Logan then asks, "What are we grabbing?" "I can't wait for you to find out," says Victor. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of the issue. So yeah, y'all, wow. There's a lot to unpack here. So it looks like Sabretooth is finally going to get that team up he's been looking so hard for. But what he doesn't know is the Exiles are coming for him too, as is his son Graydon Creed. So how do you guys think this is all going to go down? Will Quentin find a way to make Logan snap out of this state he's in? Or will he end up helping Creed get to that base underneath Krakoa and help him fight off the Exiles? It's feeling like this thing is leading up to one hell of a battle. But what did you guys think about the issue? And how you guys feeling about this series so far as a whole? I'm loving seeing this battle between these classic enemies. And it's like every time Logan gets close, Victor has something else up his sleeve waiting for him. I wasn't expecting to see him get mind controlled into helping Victor find his treasure. So I'm personally loving this war to this point. And what do you guys think is happening with Graydon Creed? Since the other Sabretooths didn't seem to recognize his face, do you think they brought back the wrong person? Or will there be some other surprise waiting for us in the next issue? So you guys let those theories fly in the comments. I want to hear all of them. But if you guys enjoyed this video and this channel, and you like to support the channel, then you could do so by joining the new Iconic Fan Club channel membership, and there'll be a link in the description to join. But with your membership, you'll gain access to weekly interactive live streams with yours truly in front of the camera, where we could talk about what's been going down in these issues, as well as ones that you'd like for me to go over in the future, and other comic book news. And if you guys have been missing these last couple live streams, I've actually been previewing all of the videos that are to come on this channel. So you guys join in and check it out. Join in on this conversation. But you guys also get loyalty badges, member shout outs, and more in these videos. Or you guys can donate to this channel with a super thanks. And if you're not able to do either of these, then that's totally okay. You can still be a ridiculously huge help to this channel by dropping a like, share, and subscribing to Comics Icons for more icons in the comic book world. But ladies and gentlemen, you already know it's about that time. I'm out. Peace.